Welcome to the Nomad Summit Podcast, your go-to resource for digital nomadism, remote work, and building a life with more freedom. My name is Palle Bo, and this episode I'm doing an interview on my own. You see, Christoph and Alexandra are busy preparing the Nomad Summit Remote Work Edition conference, which starts in Estonia in a little more than a week. So today, it's just me, and I'm speaking with Gal Tzhayek. Gal is an entrepreneur, speaker, and software founder from Israel. He's built, acquired, and scaled education businesses that have reached more than 30,000 students and generated millions in revenue. Today, he's also the founder of Speaka, a platform that helps speakers find paid speaking opportunities around the world. But this episode is not just about public speaking, AI, and building a bigger business. It's also about building a business that actually supports your freedom.
Yeah, I'm a turtle-like nomad, yeah. Moving with my house and family on my back.
And that becomes the heart of this conversation. Because many digital nomads, freelancers, and remote founders start out by wanting freedom, but then they slowly build businesses filled with meetings, management, hiring, stress, and complexity.
I knew that I wanted to grow, but if there's a very deep part of me that hates managing people, it really, really bites your freedom.
At one point, after building a team of around 100 people, he realized that growth had pulled him away from the work that he actually loved.
And I remember sitting in my office and understanding that all the things I really liked doing were no longer my job.
So in this episode, we talk about what happens when the dream of growth turns into a heavier life and how AI systems, automation, and better business design can help solo founders and small remote teams create more impact with fewer moving parts.
Instead of chasing the tool, chase your goal.
This is a conversation for freelancers, consultants, founders, speakers, and digital nomads who want to build something meaningful without accidentally building themselves into a new office. So grab your coffee and join us as we explore how to build bigger businesses without building a heavier life. Welcome to the Nomad Summit Podcast, episode 58, Bigger Business, Smaller Team.
Hello, welcome.
Gal Tzhayek, welcome to the Nomad Summit Podcast.
I'm so happy to be here.
And both you and I, we're in Thailand. I'm in Chiang Mai and you're in Koh Samui.
Yeah.
What's it like there?
I really like it. I feel the relaxed vibes and my ability to really mix out my family life, my own personal spiritual life and business. I really, really like it here.
Mm-hmm. And you're there with your whole family?
Yeah, I have my wife and my 3 kids. My youngest is 2.5 and my oldest is 8.
Wow. And you've been traveling for how long?
Almost 2 years, yeah.
Almost 2 years, yeah. And coming to Chiang Mai soon.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, so you're not a fast-moving nomad. You're a local independent, and you can run your business everywhere?
Yeah, I'm a turtle-like nomad, yeah. Moving with my house and family on my back.
Yeah, so let's just get you introduced a little bit more. I've already said a little bit about what you do, but can you explain it in your own words? What brings you here and what is that you do?
Yeah, so I specialize in helping experts and people who have interesting expertise to have their voice globally or wherever they want and to produce a profitable business from that. I especially work with actual speakers and not just, the social media influencer types, even though I like those guys too. But this is my main core thing. I have my software SaaS business, which is called Speaka, for speakers, helping them to find their next speaking gig. It's actually a really, really cool profession if you are a digital nomad style person, because you can travel the world, do some talks, and have great time and great money. So that's the thing I specialize in.
So you're saying that you're helping speakers actually get paid to speak, because so many conferences, they might throw in a ticket for the conference or maybe even a flight and a hotel, but very few actually get paid to speak. But you say that's a viable thing.
Yeah. So the big conferences, especially the community-based ones, are not usually paid speeches. but you can still make money from doing them by having other products, other services, but mostly having exposure to companies, organizations, places that are paying for speakers to attend, like company venues, stuff like that. Obviously, the rates vary wildly globally. So like the US is one type of rates, Europe is another thing, and Asia is way lower, but still you can do it all over the world.
Yeah, I have a good friend from Canada who's specialized in doing a lot of public speaking where he actually get paid. And he told me at one point that if I want to get into that, I should focus a lot on getting hired by companies and corporations instead of conferences.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your platform. How does it work?
Yeah, it actually has an AI agent that looks for opportunities, companies, and stuff that are also matching your core expertise and also your experience level. Because, for example, beginner speakers, if they'll try to hit up Fortune 500 companies, they'll usually just get ignored. However, there are all sort of local events, non-government organizations, stuff like that don't pay as much, but still pay nice rates that you can start in. And the agent really helps you navigate this weird landscape. So this is the main thing that it does.
Right. So, Gal, you've built, acquired, and scaled educational businesses and working with more than 30,000 students and generated millions in revenue. But today you're actually acquiring smaller and more leveraged businesses. What happened?
Yeah. So the way I saw it, or the way I entered this world, was that I was around 20 years old and I got to my first personal development workshop. And I was amazed, okay? It was something resembling a Tony Robbins style event. Then I also went to see Tony Robbins live several times.
Wow.
And those things really impacted me on a really deep and personal level. And so my instant realization was that I want to do this. I want to be on stage. I want to empower people. I want to help people. I want to help other people feel the transformation that I felt in these kinds of events. So this is what I was doing in the start of my career. And then one thing led to another, and we started the School for NLP in Israel, which became the biggest one with courses in over 20 cities, and again, reaching over 30,000 clients. The thing was that when I did that, the only way to get more leverage, it was through hiring more people. And I think that today, the thing that really shifted my view was that when I started to grow Speaka as a business, my intuition, my gut instinct was to hire more people. And just as something that I did before, and I knew that I needed more leverage, I knew that I needed more help, I knew that I wanted to grow, but if there's a very deep part of me that hates managing people.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though it's sometimes practical and you can build a big company or whatever, it really, really bites your freedom. And maybe beginner business owners can dream on the day that they have those employees that do everything for them and then they don't have to do anything. But I realized that unless you're having like thousands of employees and big, C-level people, this is actually the opposite of true, because you don't only need to manage the work, you also need to manage the emotions of the people who work for you to some extent. And this is something I really hated. So I was, for several years after I sold the business, I did some sort of a mini exit. It's not a tech startup or something, but still a substantial amount. And I was living in this conflict. One part of me wanted to be the traveling turtle, to move with my family, to have my freedom. And the other part wanted to do something, significant, wanted to feel like I'm contributing to the world, like I'm doing something special. And over the past few years, I think that the world is now shifted to having leverage, to being able to grow significant impact and businesses and income and everything with the power of AI, with the power of technology. And I think this is like one of the biggest gifts I have personally ever gotten. And I think this is maybe one of the reasons we're here today, because I can share ways that many people can use those things and what to avoid in order to do it in the best possible way.
Was there a specific moment where you thought, oh, this is getting too complex?
Well, basically, the first time I really felt it was before I sold the company. This was actually one of the reasons I did sell it. I had a team of around 100 people, and some of them were speakers and teachers, and they were like going all over the country, and the home base was around 30 or 40 people. And I remember sitting in my office and understanding that all the things I really liked doing were no longer my job. Other people had the job to do it. It was, let's say, marketing, like teaching, all the things I really liked doing were no longer my job. And the only job I really did have left was to make sure everyone is doing their job properly and dealing with all the, internal conflicts, people's life drama, and so on and so forth. And it really, really created a sort of a burnout for me.
Yeah.
And so I was deeply, deeply demotivated by that. And this was the reason I looked to sell the company.
Yeah.
And when I sold it, I realized that I drew away from the parts I really liked in my job, from some people call it the genius zone. I'm not necessarily considering myself a genius, but still like the area of which I'm really good at and I really like. And I drew myself out of them in order to become a CEO, which is, in my opinion, for me, the worst job on the planet.
I can so relate to this. In my radio career, I got headhunted to be the manager of a group of radio stations. And I thought, yes, of course, that's the next obvious step. And thank you so much. And they gave me a very cool brand new company car and a nice corner office and a salary. And I got into radio and audio design because I love it. And all of a sudden, I was buried in managing staff and business cases and budgeting. And I could just as well have been the manager of an accountant company or any kind of company because I was so away from where my passion lie. So after 2 years, I quit and started my own production company and got my hands dirty again with doing audio design. And
amazing.
Yeah, I'm totally like you. And I know that a lot of people, they love the whole thing of getting people in an organization to work. And but it's not for me. And I guess it's not for you either.
And it's not for many people, I think.
Yeah.
Some people like it, but many people don't.
And I think I weren't really very good at it either. So
I really worked hard at it and I really wanted to be good at it.
Me too.
Yeah.
And I took courses and I really tried.
Exactly. And so I think that on a micro level, I became good enough at it. But on a macro level, because I hated it so much, I avoided it. So even if theoretically I had the skills, they weren't really applied because I hated it. So I think that this is like one major lesson is like sticking to your strength and so on and so forth. And the other thing was that, again, for 2 years after selling the company, I deliberately stayed small. Okay? So this is like the next step of it. I deliberately stayed small because I wanted to make sure that my business, it gives me as much freedom as possible and doesn't require me to manage people. When I had like no choice, I had like a personal assistant, a remote virtual one that I don't need to manage their emotions and everything else.
Yeah.
And for some projects, I had, a marketing manager or stuff like that. But generally, I tried to remain as slim, as minimal staffed as possible.
Yeah.
And I think it was around 9 months ago, something like this, there was another major jump in the abilities of AI, where I realized that I can now have really good AI processes that can really not replace existing employees, but make hiring new people in some cases redundant and not necessary. And in the beginning, I think I did the mistake most people do with AI, to make the beginner business owner's mistake when hiring people, just doing it with AI. What's the beginner mistake? It's like saying, okay, I need a video editor, right? So I'll just find someone who knows how to edit, give him money and tell him, okay, you're my video editor, edit it. And just by your face, I understand that you have experienced something similar and you know the amount of chaos this produces.
Oh, yeah.
And so this is how people use AI. And I think that today more than ever, core traditional business skills are, I wouldn't say as important as ever, I would say even more important than ever. Because just like when you hire a person for an important role in your company, you wouldn't take anyone, right? You'll have a filtering and hiring process, right? And then you'll have a training process of making sure the person actually does it correctly. And then in the beginning, you'll monitor this person very regularly, and then you'll still monitor it, but less regularly, but still have your eyes on it. And I think that many people have this because of social media, because of the hype around AI. Everyone is looking for this, one prompt wonder, the thing that you write into ChatGPT and you get this amazing thing, and people are selling this, 3,000 word prompts to paste into ChatGPT, which are fine. But the thing is that it creates the wrong expectation. And so now, before I implement new AI processes in the business, I try to think of it as if I was hiring someone. I would actually create like the spec sheet of the person that you want to hire, the requirements sheet, whatever, and really build like all the procedures that I would give a training procedure to a person when I would tell him, this is how you edit, this is how you know what's a good beginning, this is how you know when to cut, this is how you know where to zoom. And I would do all those things. And only then I would get the AI to do it. And I would make this process much more like a traditional process. And I think it's also true for other business processes as well.
Yeah. At some point in the beginning of my company, I started it in 2007. Oh my God, I've got a 20-year anniversary coming up. And I was producing radio commercials at the time and doing really, really well. I won Best Commercial of the Year 6 times, and it was very thought after. And then at some point, I thought, oh, I'm getting so busy. Maybe it's time for me to start hiring someone. And then I thought, oh, wait a minute, I'm not going to do that mistake again. So what I did was I simply raised my prices and I worked less and made more. So that was the way I did it back in the time. Can you give me an example of a decision that would increase revenue but reduce freedom?
Yeah. So first of all, I just want to tell you that your instinct, in my opinion, was spot on. And I usually try to ask people early when they come consulting with me, let's say you're fully booked. What's your growth strategy? Raising your prices or hiring staff? Obviously, many people who don't have the experience don't know how to answer this question. But if you have an answer to this question, it can inform so much of your strategy building the business that it's incredible. For example, the amount you rely on your personal brand, for example, right? If you plan on just raising your prices and not hiring too many people, relying on your personal brand is not just a good idea, it's an amazing idea. Mm-hmm. But if you want to hire more people that will do the work for you, maybe you need to think or be conscious about over-emphasizing your personal brand too much and trying to do other things as well. And so I think this is spot on, and this is a really good advice. About myself, there are plenty of opportunities that I did consider because, again, I saw them coming at me, be it in Spica, offering manual onboarding sessions. I did some myself in the beginning just to learn the customers, to make sure the customer experience is good and so on and so forth. And those onboarding sessions with groups of people are very efficient. And still I decided to stop doing them and be completely touchless because I wanted to have this extra freedom. In my coaching programs and consulting sessions, again, I used to have a personal assistant who would schedule everything, and I completely dropped it in favor of something resembling what you have with links and automations and everything. And yeah, it converts less and it loses money. But still, having to manage one less person is still a good thing, in my opinion. And there are other examples as well.
We have more from Gal in a minute, but first I want to say a few words about the Nomad Summit Remote Work Edition happening in a bit more than a week. You still have time to get your ticket and head up for a nice summer in Estonia. And you should. I think the upcoming Nomad Summit in Tallinn looks interesting. The whole angle of this event seems to be, okay, how do we make remote work sustainable in real life? So they're going to cover things like remote careers, freelancing, building distributed teams, international business setup, cross-border work, AI tools, and even avoiding scams and fake opportunities online. And I like that they're also focusing on real conversation and networking instead of just stacked inspiration. Because honestly, one good conversation at an event can completely change your direction. A new client, a collaborator, a job opportunity, a new idea. That's often how this lifestyle actually works. So if remote work is something you've been thinking seriously about, not just dreaming about, Tallinn might be worth putting on your radar this summer. Go to nomadsummit.com and find out more.
สวัสดีค่ะ
So how do you use AI? What kind of AIs are you implementing?
Wow. So basically, the ones I'm personally using aren't necessarily the ones other people might require using, because I said that I'm really putting out work before implementing any AI thing. This is also like an anti-FOMO mechanism, because when you just see stuff and you want to implement it as fast as possible, having this friction, this requirement to build all those things, make you say, okay, maybe I won't do it today. And I think many times, like before hiring people, not hiring the person is the most efficient way to hire a person. Like not implementing AI for something you don't need is like the most efficient thing to do. But for me personally, I have an AI agent inside the product, inside a different product. So for example, inside Spiga, you have several AI agents. One that does the matching between opportunities to speakers, one that helps speakers with, support things like how do they do stuff inside the system. Also, we have internal AI systems and agents that find places where people get stuck and suggest fixes, and an AI agent that does QA. Mm-hmm. So this is inside the product.
When you say AI agent, where is that built? How do you do that?
So the things that are inside the product itself are usually just built inside the product. They're not using any external tool.
Okay.
They do use, obviously, OpenAI APIs or stuff like that, but they are inside the tool itself.
Yeah.
But on the business management side, I also have agents that help me produce content, that help me produce the visuals for my content, that help me manage my ads. Mm-hmm. And this is, I think, maybe the best possible part about using AI agents versus people. And this is, I think, something that, again, is missed, because I constantly see on LinkedIn and other places the dream of having an AI agent that runs 24/7 and does everything for you. And if you think about it from a business perspective, or someone that has business experience like yourself, you would say, I don't want one person to work 24 hours for me. If I had a slim business, a small business, okay, I would probably want 50 small freelancers, each with its specific expertise. Some of them only work for me for 15 minutes a week, right? Mm-hmm. Because this would be so much more efficient. Yeah. So I'm not trying to optimize for how many AI agents I have or what's the time they are running. I'm just looking at the tasks I'm doing daily, or the things that I'm not so good at, or things I would want to hire someone to do. And then I automate these. And most of them, for me, are built with Cloud Code. Mm-hmm. Super simple and easy. And other things are connected to other technologies as well. But I think that once you're inside this world, be it ChatGPT, Codex, whatever, you can just ask them what tools are required to achieve my goal. Instead of chasing the tool, chase your goal. Instead of like saying, how can I use this tool in my business? Which is a question I see often online, which is a terrible question 90% of the time. Mm-hmm. I think the better way is to ask, what tools can achieve my goal? What tools can work together in this specific workflow? And also, just to add an extra layer on it, is that I think that most people think that now that AI can help them with so many things, that expertise is redundant, is not required anymore. And I think that surface level expertise is becoming more and more of a commodity, right? Because like basic video or audio editing skills, I assume will become more and more easy to acquire just by asking AI to do something. But deep level domain expertise is even more valuable than ever. For example, a person like you that has like all this experience with audio design and podcasting and radio and stuff like that, I'm sure that if I would want to start my own podcast, I have one in Israel, almost 250,000 downloads, but let's say I would want to create a new one globally. I assume it would dramatically fail. But if I would ask you about it, I would get a much higher quality answers than if I would ask ChatGPT or Claude, which would give me probably more, general advice that might be generally good, but the small things, the small details an expert can give are the things that actually can create or make a project succeed or fail.
Yeah, totally. And please do just go to radioguru.co.uk and hire me. What are some of the tasks that founders should stop doing manually?
It really depends on the type of business.
Yeah, of course.
And I'm really trying not to avoid the question. But I think that if you'll just ask Google or ChatGPT this question, you'll have the general answer, and it won't differ so much from the answer that I will give you. But the answer that I will insist on giving you, even though it might be annoying, is the tasks that you are doing regularly and are not requiring your specific genius.
Yeah, the kind of task you could technically do while watching a football match in the background.
Exactly. So specifically for me, I really like writing, and I believe that my authentic writing has an edge, okay? So when I write posts, I write them myself, even though it's one of the easiest things to automate, okay? I'm still writing them myself.
Are you writing them totally from scratch, or do you get some inspiration and then tweak it?
Yeah, so I get inspiration, but not like full posts that I edit.
Yeah.
I get like general ideas that are, again, based on my stuff. I uploaded all my previous posts to Claude and made it something that's very personal. And again, just as a general tip, here's a general AI tip. When you ask an AI for suggestions, never ask for a suggestion, always ask for plenty of suggestions. For example, when I want to write a post and I have no inspiration, I would ask for 20 ideas.
Wow.
Yeah, because when they choose 1, 2, or 3, they'll usually loop to the same things and also to the same general lines, even if you'll have a really good prompt. But when you ask them to have 20, what happens is not the magic inside of the AI, but the magic inside of your brain.
Yeah.
Because when you read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you make some sort of unique synthesis of the idea yourself. So again, some people, should they automate their post writing? Definitely. If you're not so skilled at it, if you don't like it, if you find it boring, don't do it, okay? But if you're like me and it's part of your personal identity, I'm a writer, I wrote a book, I'm planning on writing on plenty more books in my life, then I'm not automating it, okay? However, adding images to my posts is now a completely automated process. I had added my post into Claude and they generate an entire 3 or 4 images and I choose one and I do it. And it's based on like a process that I built once and so on and so forth. But designing is not my genius spot. It's not where I excel. It's writing. So I automate the things that I don't excel at. And I think especially in small businesses, many times you don't have access, and maybe this is a good frame to think through. I think as a small business, many times you don't have the capital to actually acquire the best possible talent, right? So I probably wouldn't afford having you do my podcast, right?
Oh, I lowered my prices again. I'm super cheap.
So maybe we'll have it later. But what I'm trying to say is, many times you can't afford the best possible talent. So if you have a task and you would say, I need the best person for this job and I'm really good at it and I really understand it, don't use AI to automate it. Use AI maybe to do the manual work around it, to inspire you, but don't automate it.
Yeah.
If you have things that you would say, I would have a monkey employee do it. Those are the things that are really, really worth automating with AI.
Yeah. I use it a lot for brainstorming as well. There are so many of my half-baked ideas that before AI would just end up in the bottom of a drawer and never see the light of day. And then I take those and just do a lot of brainstorming because I'm a solopreneur. I don't sit in an office with a bunch of people that I would otherwise do the brainstorming with. So I use AI tools to help me develop ideas. Is that something you do as well?
That's a great use of it. And again, you just need to be aware of the process. Because again, I assume you and other people who have the business expertise of judging strategy, let's say, then you can do it with AI perfectly. When I told you that in the beginning of my career, I was inspired by Tony Robbins and other people like him. And so I learned how to be a coach and I did all sort of my personal development workshops by myself. And so I can even use sometimes AI as my personal coach. But would I suggest using it as your coach for someone who does not have coaching experience? Well, the research shows it's dangerous, right? Some people get to this AI mania or all sorts of psychological issues. So the core thing is, the more complex the task is, the more it requires expertise. Make sure that you can manage the process and not be managed by it. And so brainstorming is one of the best uses of AI, or best simple uses of AI, that you can just use the chatbot and it creates great options.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we could talk for hours, Gal, but we're almost out of time. So I'd like to just end up by talking about, for someone listening who's a freelancer, a consultant, a founder, or a remote worker, and they want freedom without building a big company. What should they do this week, you think?
Yeah. So first of all, I love your decision to have freedom and be a freelancer. This is like the best decision ever. And you're already ahead of like 90% of the people just by claiming this thing for yourself. So good job. The second thing would be to really look at yourself as a business, okay? And try the best way you can to think about it as if you had a business and think of yourself as a team of people, okay? So the biggest mistake people make is more psychological than technical, is that they think of themselves as one single person in the business. And that's just not correct, right? In the business, we should have like the manager, the one who dictates strategy. We need to have some employees who do certain types of jobs. And when we start looking at ourselves this way, we can, first of all, avoid the chunk up, chunk down trap, right? That we sit on, build a proposal, a quote for a client to send a quote. And then we're like, maybe my entire branding and positioning is off and try to, then sending a quote takes 5 hours just because we mixed the accountant and the CEO, the CEO's role. So this is the first thing. And then look at all the employees you have in the company, even if all of them are yourself, and ask yourself, which one do I dislike being the most? And try to automate the tasks from that specific person. That would be a great start, and you can completely do it in a week.
That's amazing. So, Gal, if somebody is an aspiring speaker or a professional public speaker and they want to have a look at what it is you do and how you can help them, where do we go?
So I guess the two best places are my LinkedIn profile and just the company website, speaka.io. I assume you'll link it below the podcast.
I will.
So that would be great.
And then you go to speaka.io and create a profile, and then...
Yeah, it's completely free. You create your profile. You even get... Yeah, it's completely free. You can create your profile, which creates automatically for you your speaker's website. I specifically recommend all speakers to have separate speaker websites than the normal website for their service or whatever they do, so they don't mix. So for companies, it's easier to look that this is what you do and you're a professional speaker and you don't just, take it not seriously. So it creates everything for you. You can send proposal quotes, everything like that is completely free. And then the next step, you also will be able to get 1 or 2 or 3, depending on the country you live in, speaking leads that are personally curated for you. If you want more, you'll have to pay.
Okay. So that's where you make the money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just by providing you real work.
Cool. I will put the links in the show notes. And once you get to Chiang Mai, look me up because we're going to hang out and I'm going to pick your brain even some more.
I would really love that.
Yeah. And I hope that you will... hang around. Since you're a turtle, you'll probably hang around until January, where the Nomad Summit is back here in Chiang Mai. So maybe I'll see you there as well.
I'm planning on it.
Thank you, Gal.
Thank you.
This episode was hosted by me, Palle Bo. I also produced it with my production company, radioguru.co.uk. The theme music is created by Divyas Shea, aka Divi, the audio nomad.
สวัสดีค่ะ
If you found this episode valuable, make sure to follow the podcast and tell a friend. See you next week with another interesting guest.